Live. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. I am joined like I am every Monday and Wednesday at noon with Agnieszka Wood, our trading mindset coach here at Quasar Markets and the woman behind a head coach. How are you doing today, Agnieszka?
Very good. A good start of the week. We get some action this morning in the market.
That's
So
for sure.
we just,
Volatility is definitely the word
oh,
of the
good.
day. For me, it's been since the weekend. As you know, a lot of stuff came out yesterday in regards to crypto. So I've sort of
Right.
been going at it since yesterday. Markets sort of rolling over here. Tariffs still leading the way. So I do want to point out, this is one of the things, a takeaway that I hope everyone gets from our meetings with Agnieszka is that we don't want to overreact to any one data point, and we want to take our time to sort of process what's going on before we react to it. Because a lot of times that first reaction, and I saw it over the weekend really, and I would like to talk a little bit more about that because it's already played out, which we haven't seen in the stock market yet, was crypto. Everything shot up. And I literally go on to Twitter and stuff and tell people that I am selling some of my alts that were part of the strategic reserve that were announced. And so is this a good buy time to buy? Was like 90% of the responses to my announcement that I was actually lessening my positions in these stocks. My
That's
head
so funny.
literally looked just like the emoji, was ready to explode off the top of my head. And I understand people get excited, but it doesn't that really just put it all out into its perspective. I mean, literally, I put out that, and 100 responses, 90 of them were asking me if they should be following me into a trade that I just left.
That is so interesting, right? From the psychology perspective, it's like you might think, what's behind it? Is
Yeah,
it
I mean,
just like,
it really is. It just shows, I think it just shows how strong FOMO is, right? And how much
yeah,
we want to be on that side of the win. So when people start talking about the win, we don't read what they're writing. We just see that they won and want to follow them to it. And it really goes to the
right?
psychology that we see with these huge blow off tops lately.
Yes, and like this morning, like so many stocks gapped up. Like take Hood for example, Robin Hood, right? What was
Yeah.
it?
Oh,
seven
yeah.
percent up this morning, and then it went red. It just went straight down. So it's like if you jump into those positions without just taking a moment and say like, just wait, just see how it goes, see how it says, especially after a week like we had last week,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
where
Because
everything
what
was
changed over
tanking,
the
every
weekend
stock
except
was
for
sold.
crypto? Nothing else changed. The economy
Yeah.
didn't get better because they might do, or may not do a reserve of Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, ADA, and Solana. That didn't fix the tariff talk that we have, that didn't end the war in Ukraine or stop the craziness that we saw out of the Oval Office on Friday.
Right.
It didn't stop the fact that Hamas and Israel are not seeming to play nice anymore again in the ceasefire agreement there. So there's a lot of bad that we do see. And, that's why I think it's important, to take a second to digest news and don't try to be the first one. I said it the other day too, when Bitcoin dropped, people were asking me, should I buy today? And I said, I don't know if I'm ready to buy yet. I would rather miss that move from, at that point, it was like at 80, from 80 to 84, than get in at 80 and be mad when it hit 60. Quite
Right.
frankly, was the situation I was looking at, just to use round numbers. Those aren't the
Right.
figures I was looking at. So, that is one of the things I'm also stressing right now is don't try to be the first into the trade. We don't want to be last into any trade, that's for sure. But we also probably in the market conditions we have right now, don't want to be the first into a trade either.
Yeah, there is something new every time, and there is always something that we are waiting for. Either this report or that report, or this person is going to speak, Fed speaking, the tariffs, the interest. Like there's always something, and it has always been, but now it is much more volatile. So I think that you hit really a good point there, that you don't want to miss it, right? Like people just want to be in it because, like, what does that mean? Am I just not going to trade? Am I going to just sit here and like not make money? But sometimes that means that you are going to be sitting there and waiting to see when is the best time to make money, and not necessarily just be there on every move.
Because no trade is a trade.
Right. So having the patience is the challenging for everyone.
Well, and that's what it is. And it is, it's hard. Don't get me wrong, when Twitter's going crazy and everybody, especially on a Sunday when there's not much news and everything's crypto, I tried to be the voice of reason, which you are for us so often here. Yesterday, I hope people took advantage of it. But I want to talk about what you have going on, because you have just announced a very exciting program or change to your program a little bit.
Yeah, so I actually reopened it. So we have been running this program the whole last year, and it has been very successful. And now I have reopened it. So we have changed it a little bit. We always, look to improve and added some new content to it. And then, so this is actually what I call first aid.
Okay.
So
I do want to point out, I put a QR code up, folks. If you want to take a picture of that, you can get right to her website. Again, I put across the bottom of the screen how you do get to Agnieszka's website. And if you do, you'll see it's right there on the front page, ready for you to take a look at.
Yeah. So that QR code is for the for the class, free class this Thursday.
Oh, that's for Friday. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. That's for a free class. So yes, definitely go there and sign up. It's a free class masterclass with Brett Steenbarger, myself.
Now let me put
and
it back up
Alex.
Since I got it wrong here. So yes, this is actually
that's all right.
Right. For those of you that have been watching with us, Agnieszka did a great episode with Dr. Steenbarger about 3 weeks ago. Is that about the time frame?
Yes, we had the Ask Me Anything session.
Yeah, and it was great. I was part of it. I listened in. I asked some questions. You guys had great information. You guys sort of approached the same subjects with a little bit of a different take and view on it. So again, one of the things I love that I do at Quasar Markets is I'm able to provide retail traders with not just one point of view, but we bring in all these educators like Agnieszka, like Dr. Steenbarger, who are just experts in the field that will give you the information, and you can pick and choose what fits your style the best, right?
Yeah, what's cool about this masterclass is that we are bringing actually a third party to it, Alex Sherzhanovich from Tradefulness. And Alex Tradefulness is, that they just have organized a trading psychology conference, the very first one. And they had like 3 days full of speakers. It was fantastic. But they are developing a psychological support, AI-based, which is just, it's of course, everything is AI these days. So
it's so important that you take care of your mind. It's one of the tools that you use the most in trading, quite honestly.
Right.
But it's one of the ones we think the least about sometimes. Everybody is running to the latest, whether it be the momentum trade, expert, or the educator with the latest new AI scanner, or the person who has the VWAP crossover XYZ, 1 minute scalp routine. But quite honestly, I can tell you from my experience is you have been one of the educators that has brought the most to my trading over the last 6 months that I've been at Prosper, without a doubt. Oh, well, you have. I mean, it's no doubt, because it was a part that I ignored, quite frankly, is for me, it was 2 parts. It was about developing better habits. I'm one of those people that ADHD kicks in. So sticking to one thing doesn't work for me all the time. I could have a system that's in place and it works great for a month, and then all of a sudden a squirrel runs by my window and that system's out of place, and I'm in a different place. So, following some habits, having a simple tracker for me to use, doing a little bit of journaling. I wasn't a big fan, so it's a pretty basic one for me. It's almost emojis of about how the day went, but it works for me, are important. And, especially with the way the markets are right now, where tweet analysis is as important as technical analysis, I can't stress enough that taking the time to take advantage, of what Agnieszka and a head coach offers, because there's so many free tools that will wet your whistle and have you ready to jump into the step we're going to talk to today, that I just can't stress it. It doesn't take anything except for a minute or two out of your time to go take a look. I put across the bottom again where you can find Agnieszka, so please do.
Thank you. So this program is actually do it yourself, so you can go in your own pace, and but it's a little bit different do it yourself than you normally see in the market, right? Because normally you buy a course and you just do the classes, that's it. I do offer a possibility to ask questions, so
Awesome.
that when you go through it yourself, you still can put your questions out there. And I have an online platform where you can do that. And also you're becoming part of my exclusive private group where you can put your questions and get guidance. So it is do it yourself, but not alone. I really put a lot of, attention to everyone who is working with me, whether you do it yourself course or you're
Yeah, I
working
can tell
in
all
a
of
group
you
with
that
me.
Agnieszka is not somebody who does things partial way. So there's no way that you're not going to be blown away by the program, quite frankly. And again, just the free tools, the level of finished product that you give out, even as free tools, has been, better than a lot of things I've seen out there on the market that people have to pay for. So just want to be honest
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah. And, this is really an entry thing, but it is not an entry and you think, okay, I'm just going to do a little bit, because it is still a process to take you from wherever you are struggling, whether like the emotion part is the biggest thing. But this program is really focused on helping you understand where this impulsive behavior is coming from and understand the dynamics behind it and give you tools to change it. So I have students who went through this program and actually they are trading for a living now. So it really depends on the level of commitment from your side. Even though it is a very low ticket program, it is very complete still. So just go and check it out. It's, the level of, I think commitment is the most important thing. I give you a lot of value for very low ticket price, because I know that when you are just starting trading, or when you have been trading for a while, but you have been losing, the step is more difficult, right? Because you might not.
It's tough to, well, a lot of times you don't want to admit it, right? Part of it is that they're going to have to tell you that they're not doing well, and not necessarily
That's
with
first
this
thing.
thing,
Exactly.
or at least admit to
Yeah.
themselves, is because I could tell you
Right.
that was, for me, that's what was the change was, I was going to be interviewing you, so I had to learn a little bit about what you were offering. And from there, it led to self-discovery. And then I just started asking questions, to learn. And that's what I think that will happen to anyone that does this, is they're going to realize the immediate results and the immediate benefits that you not only find in your trading day, but in your work-life balance, if you are using trading as your means of income. Agnieszka has many of her clients and students that is the case. They're traded funders, they're professional traders, people that do the gamut, but whose job it is to trade. And she understands the pressures. She's a professional trader also, so she understands the pitfalls we all run into, and that's why she sort of created that. If you could talk a little bit maybe about how your past trading life transformed into this career.
Yeah. So when I started trading, I opened my first account in 2010, but like really seriously, I started day trading in 2014. And there was not really much trading mindset help at that point. And there were psychologists or like mentors working with traders, but I could not afford them. They were like $1,000 an hour, and that was
Right.
absolutely out of my reach at that time. I was losing a lot of money, so this is definitely something that I was like, I would love help, but I can allow it myself. Plus, there is this part where when you are losing for a long time, your confidence level is so small, like gone pretty much. It was in my case that you start hesitating that anything will help you. Like, why would that help me? Like, how is that different, right? And you might be in that position where you're losing money, you're have tried different things and nothing worked. So then you might look at my program and go like, why would that work?
Right.
And it's a very valid question towards yourself, but you got to understand that this is also exactly the thought and the belief that is keeping you stuck in that cycle, right? Because you are constantly questioning yourself, and without that confidence to like try new thing. And I'm not talking about strategy, I'm talking about you have tried all the strategies, you have tried all the
Right.
indicators, try the new thing, try the mindset thing, and
Yeah.
then you will
You
see how
exactly,
it's
like I
working out.
said, it was funny. I just had on Dr. Ellman, who is from the Blue Collar Investor, and we were going over some covered calls and 5 mistakes people make when making covered call things. And one of them was not having the right resources or background to properly do it, right?
Right.
And what we were stressing there was one of the hardest things is understanding how to manage the position once you're in it in his strategy. It's pretty easy to pick, I want to use, stock XYZ to do this. And then from there, picking the sort of option that you're going to sell against the underlying is not that hard because he has some steadfast rules. And
Mm-hmm.
where the problem is then people have to start to make their own decisions based upon how the stock is performing. And that's the
Right.
key to what it is understanding you need all of it. And we've been talking privately about one of my good friends that's in our Quasar world here. And he's been stuck in a real rut where I'm nervous about it because he doesn't trust any trade. He's got the right setup. He's got everything. He'll paper trade and it works. And you and I have talked about how paper trading doesn't prepare you for the real world, because if you don't
Right.
have any skin in the game, then you're not playing the game, so to speak. And he's a guy again that will spend thousands and thousands of dollars on new trading systems, but to look at his own mind and find out what's wrong is hard for him to do for some reason. So,
It's like buying a new drill, but then being afraid to actually drill that hole in the wall, right?
yeah,
Because
it
there
doesn't
is
make
some pressure,
sense.
and it's like,
It's part of the tool set that you need to be a successful trader. In fact, I would argue that it's the most important. In other
I
words, you
mean,
could,
yeah,
technical analysis is a lot easier. You can break it down to some easy, little simple indicators. Some people trade just using a crossover of, the 20-day MA and the 50-day MA or something. So you can
yeah.
simplify certain things there, but the psyche of being able to allow your trade to develop and to see it move during volatile times, and as the buttons move and the pressures start to hit, that's in every trade.
I think you see that the difficulty of managing a trade when you are in there, there is so much pressure on you from all kinds of sides, not only just the market, but your own inner pressure. Because you start looking at the possibility of losing your profits, not making more, or possibly losing the money you are risking, right? So there is a lot of fear coming in, and that is influencing the management and your rational decision making. So really, there is nothing wrong with you as a person if you feel all these things, but you do have to be prepared to how to handle those pressures. How do you make sure that you are, like, if you have the winning trade? I spoke to a trader last week actually, and interestingly, he has been trading on Wall Street for some time, And still, so I'm just saying this because it's not just for new traders. It's not just for traders who haven't been able to make the decisions or rational decisions yet, and they're still losing profit. But it's also for successful traders
Yeah,
who
I'll
were
even
trading
point out
on
more
Wall
so
Street.
that
Yeah,
JP
and
Morgan
now,
keep psychologists on staff to talk to
yeah,
their fund traders. Stephen
yeah,
Flanagan, who is one of our educators now at Prosper and used to be JP Morgan's head of electronic trading for Forex, said very clearly to us when I was talking one day, we were talking about coming on for this after we follow his show some days. And he said, absolutely, we had them on staff and you had to see them. You know, it was part of
yeah,
your job. And that's JP Morgan.
exactly. Yeah, because you see, the like, whether you are trading for 20 years and really the time doesn't matter. It's like how prepared you are. You will be exposed to those pressures. And now, yes, when you struggle, maybe you are just trying to make, I don't know, $50 a day or $100 a day.
Right.
But when you are already, making profit, then now it's like, how do you capitalize on the opportunity? How do you stay a little bit longer? How do you
Right.
make, the most out of your strategy? So it is not just like, oh, I'm just going to get some mindset stuff at the beginning and then I'll be good. No, it's really a constant work, because you always want to improve. If it's not, first getting into a trade and then managing the trade and then getting the most out of the trade. So
Right.
regardless where you are in that path, on the path, you will need your mind to support you in that. You will need your nervous system to support you in that. You will need to know how to manage those emotions, because it's like anytime you get on a roller coaster, you might get sick, right? It doesn't matter how many times you go there, because there are pressures that are working on you, and you get smarter. Okay, next time I'm not going to have dinner just before, right?
That's right. I'm not going to eat the big spaghetti dinner right before we go on the loop-to-loop coaster.
Right.
And I even say, one thing that you've taught me is it doesn't even end at the end of the trade, is, journaling and making sure you're looking back at the trade and where you were mentally throughout it is important also, not just from a profit and loss side, but also, hey, was I, did I almost make a big mistake, and how did I stop myself from making that mistake maybe, right?
Right. And, it is just so interesting that if you want to trade for a living and you don't have that mindset of like, I always need to improve, I always need to grow, and knowing that psychology is a big part of your job as a trader, you completely ignore it, then yes, then you know that there is something wrong, right? Because as a trader, you will always have to evolve, especially if you want to become better and better in taking more and more money out of the market.
Right, because the market's getting more and more sophisticated every day too. So that's the other part. We all have to grow with it, because it is evolving as we move from what used to be a T+2 settlement to T+1. And hopefully that will go to cash settlement, and technology gets better and different, trades are easier to execute, so to speak, and access to markets. We're going to the day where 24/5 trading is not, it's already sort of there for, certain. You can trade Tesla 24/5 with IKBR and Robinhood and some others, and Apple and a few of the other Mag 7 type things. It's not going to be long till we see full trading, right?
Yeah. And I think, the whole gripping onto trading like it's your life raft, that's what brings a lot of traders into trouble.
Sure.
What I notice is that, when I start working with traders, there is always this urge and this like, I need this, almost like I need this to survive. It's like, no, you need oxygen to survive. You really don't need trading to survive. And the more you think you need it, the worse it becomes, because you become desperate, and you can't think clearly when you're desperate.
You make worse mistakes. You expound your mistakes. You double and triple down.
So really letting it go more, but it's easy to say, it's not so easy to do. That's why there are a few steps that if you get through those steps and learn to let go of that urgency, that need, that rush, it will be much easier for you to be patient, because you have to realize, like, you need to be patient, but
Right.
then you're constantly gripping and you're constantly chasing. And it's like those two don't go together. If you want to be patient, you need to learn to let go so that you are willing to wait.
Yep.
It's like
Absolutely.
this, it's very logical, right? But then when
But in the time,
emotions
no,
take
we talked about it.
over,
You know, people on Sunday that were FOMOing in, even though, you
yeah,
know, we're saying,
yeah,
hey, don't buy
yeah,
this today at this price. It's
yeah,
not a good value. You know,
right.
it's the only thing I've ever seen when it comes to stock market and crypto and gold, is that when it's at its highs, everybody wants to buy it. When it's at its lows, nobody wants to own it. Right.
Well, yeah, and but that's very human. That is
Yeah.
very
No, it
human,
is.
right?
It's
You,
not, yeah.
as
And
I
again,
say,
I
it's
want
like
to
you
point,
have to become that unhuman sort of, like, a little bit have the attitude of the firefighter. You have to run into, like, they run into the fire, right?
into the
Normal
trouble.
people wouldn't
Yeah,
do that.
absolutely. Right. First responders without a doubt. But that's what it is, you know, Steve talks about that big beat all the time. He buys when others are fearful. When everyone's
Yeah,
leaving the exit, he's the guy thanking you for coming and taking your ticket. And then when
yeah,
it's a sold out show, he'll sell you back that ticket. But guess what? Now it's at a higher price. Right.
yeah.
So I want to be
And
that
you
ticket
can do
taker.
that if
Yeah.
you, first of all, if you are aware of your own emotions, if you are aware and not reacting. You're like, when I look at the market and I'm like, okay, this is the moment where the world ends, right? This is really like, and if you follow the news, it's a buildup. It's a buildup, and the market is tanking and tanking and tanking. And the moment that I start feel fearful and I notice it, I'm like, okay, this is the moment to buy.
Right. Yeah, when you see
Because
it, you understand that trigger within yourself. When you're
yeah,
scared, so is everybody else, and that is usually
yeah,
the best time for the contrarian side of it.
yeah.
Because asymmetrically, it's going to have a better risk reward setup, and it's going to work exactly like right now. You know, like I said yesterday, I was a seller of crypto, not a buyer. Today, as people capitulate, as it didn't go through the roof, and all those people that jumped in, FOMOed in, are now selling off. I'm going to wait. I'm not there yet. I think we'll see a little bit more. But yeah, again, I'll thank them. I'll say thank you for buying it yesterday at those
Yeah,
high prices. Yeah, I'll give you 70 cents on the dollar and I'll take it back from you now. And it
yeah,
isn't that I'm a genius or the greatest trader in the world. It's that understanding the psychology of the market and allowing it. You know, it's one thing to understand it. It's another thing to actually allow it to come. Like you said, to have that,
and
man,
that's
I'm
your own
scared.
psychology.
I'm scared right now. Guess what that means?
Yes,
It's time to buy.
yes,
Very
yes.
counterintuitive in your mind.
Very
And
counterintuitive.
but
But you
what
can
happens
only
is it,
do that when you know how to manage those emotions, and
yeah,
you
or when
understand those
you know when
emotions
you've
and
lived
those
through it enough,
triggers.
you know, is for some of it. For me, and it's funny because I don't have that same discipline sometimes on the stock side that I do on crypto. Because I've lived through these 40% and 50%, and it was the only thing that I invested in. So it's where all my time, money, and effort was on. So I
Right.
lived through the wars, so to speak, and ran into the fire, so to speak, a couple of times. And when you get successful at some of that stuff and learn there, it becomes second nature. But it is funny how that psyche doesn't necessarily translate for me into stocks the same way that it does into crypto. You know, it's
Yeah.
learning through that. And I know you have to let you out of here. You got to go, but I do want you to one more time go over what's happening on Thursday. I put up the QR code to make it easy for people to get right in.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So this is a free masterclass. It's going to be just an hour. So make sure you register, even if you cannot join. It's at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, but there will be recording only for people who register.
Awesome.
So if you
I will
register,
be
you
doing
get a
it for
recording.
sure.
So if
This will
you
be
want
the,
to,
I went to the, I enjoyed the last one. I can't wait to hear what Alex has to add to the conversation. Having three of you, I think, is going to be amazing. So
yeah, I'm looking
Agnieszka,
forward to
thank
it.
you so much, like always, for joining us. We'll see you on Wednesday. We'll ask you a little bit more about the
Awesome.
masterclass, what you've got planned for everybody. Have a fantastic day.
And you too. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Bye, Howard.